Thank you, Mary. My family actually find me quite eccentric, and they've had a tough time living with me with all these UFO experiences, etc., etc. How does it affect you and your family?
Well, actually, I've been very lucky because they've seen me in a more traditional role as a counsellor, working in this field for 20 years in just counselling people. The fact that it's gone into more of a paranormal side has, for them, just been part of progress, but also because they've seen from, you know, the material that I've got and from the video footage of craft, heard military personnel talk about this kind of thing, that they've actually become very honouring of it. They've come to see my presentations and they realise that Mum hasn't exactly lost the plot, but she's now involved in an area that perhaps is a little bit more controversial. But in a way, they quite enjoy that because even their friends come and they say, my mum's into UFOs, and the young people say, oh, cool. So my son says to me, sometimes they come to my house and they're talking with him. As soon as they find out what I'm into, they're in Mum's office looking at all UFO pictures. He says, sometimes I lose them to Mum. So in terms of my children, they've been really excellent. But my biggest problem was with my husband. He really, really struggled with this. And it's similar to so many experiences like yourself, that sometimes some of the family might be okay, but often they can meet with total disapproval and total disregard of how this is real for someone. And I think this is the problem for many, many people with this experience.
In my case, everybody thought I was totally crazy until last year, and until the last few weeks. As you know, we've had craft flying over and my family and kids saw them. So that sort of endorsed my sanity, if you like. How about your children? Have they had any experiences? Has anybody seen anything?
Well, my children are very intuitive. What I have noticed was some interesting things with my grandson. He was only 3 when he talked about lights coming in his room and taking him and Mummy and Baby and being taken onto a spaceship, and he said he was frightened till he saw Daddy. And then recently he's talked about a triangular craft that he said landed outside, and he talked about 6 little black aliens coming in to play with him, and they were very friendly, he said, until they started to touch him and it felt like dolphins. Now, I don't talk about this stuff to my grandson. It's not what he sees on television. So it's really quite interesting, although, you know, there's no conscious awareness in any of my family of anything other than my grandson talking about things that many children do talk about. And it makes me wonder just exactly what's going on with him. But this is the kind of thing the children will talk about, including the feeling of, you know, a 5-year-old saying to his mum, I don't mind going through the walls and they teach me more on the ships than I learn at school. Why does a 5-year-old start talking about these kinds of things? This is not the stuff that they see, you know, they don't watch talk shows. So it gives a whole new dimension when you get children that have not been educated into this, that start talking about unseen, they talk about, you know, the people seeing angels or spirits, and they're very, very young. And you have to say, are these imaginary friends really imaginary, or is it that they can't be seen by us but are actually being seen by the children?
So you're actually saying that some of the children have seen the appearance on the ships as well?
Absolutely, and this is exactly what my grandson said, is that his mummy was taken with my other little grandson, and actually saying that he was frightened till he saw Daddy there.
So this in fact opens up a complete new paradigm, doesn't it, for us for the future?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do the press view you when you work with them, of course, on such a controversial subject?
What I've found is that the more that they, you know, when they come and speak to me, I'm very clear about offering them the evidence and the proof. The first thing they need to know when they come, and often they're very ignorant about this because they've never heard anything, they're wondering what kind of lady I am. And what they see is someone very credible, hopefully, and very professional. I talk about the evidence all through history of us being visited by these different extraterrestrial races. The evidence is there on cave drawings. You know, many thousands of years ago, primitive peoples have actually done images of these beings and spacecraft. I talk about the medieval paintings and religious paintings where you'll see an image of Christ, for example, and in the sky you'll see spacecraft. What are they doing in medieval paintings? And I get people to see for themselves that all through history there's evidence of being visited by these different extraterrestrial races. It's very hard to deny a picture. A picture speaks 1,000 words. By the time that I've finished with explaining why this is real for people, that people are really missing from their beds, whole families are involved. It's not just one person having a strange dream or a hallucination. Missing time when they've gone on a journey, when a whole family will find they've got an hour and a half missing from a journey where they should have only taken 1 hour and they've taken 2 or 3. When these kinds of things happen, where people are left with marks on their body, these marks fluoresce under ultraviolet light. When we talk about implants that have been removed by Dr. Rodwell, this is the reality. It isn't in someone's head. This is affecting numbers of people, right from 2 years old to 92, when you've got people who are lawyers, doctors, psychiatrists, nurses, social workers coming to me saying this is my experience. These are credible people. These are people that are coming over as perfectly sane but having extraordinary experiences. And this is the evidence that people don't know about, and this is what I talk about to the media.
It's quite sad that there's people don't really know too much about all the work and all the members of the Exopolitics Institute, who are all academics in their own right. And there's so much work being done on this very subject, and we need to get the message out there, don't we? And one of the interesting things that I find quite fascinating is this concept of ETs upgrading us, ETs putting in these implants. And in fact, my own family in the UK actually think I'm off the wall when I talk about these implants, but maybe you can just give us a few examples of maybe what they're made of and what you think they do.
Well, Dr. Rodwell is the pioneer, and he's actually filmed the removal of these particular implants. I think there's 13 now that he's actually removed, and they've all, they've been clinically analysed, all double blinds, and some of them are metallic. They contain different mineral components that they say shouldn't be together.
Right.
They are not rejected by the body, which is actually unknown, that any foreign substance is just not rejected. They are highly magnetized and behave in really unusual ways. These are the metallic ones, but there are some that are silicon, and there are some that have been actually biological. And Dr. Rodwell said that with one of them, it came out of a lady, literally the next day she found this lump on her arm, and Dr. Lear found it quite incredible that it moved away from his finger when he ever touched it. It was like it had its own intelligence.
Didn't that happen with Whitley Strieber in his ear, that they tried to remove the implant and it moved all around his ear?
That's one I don't know about, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Many people have told me that they've suddenly woken up with some strange little lump or ball that might be there for some time and then suddenly disappear. Some have actually been sneezed out from their nose, because we do know that that sometimes implants can be put up in between, in the nostrils, and that's an interesting one, because people can wake up with nosebleeds in the morning and not know why they've had the nosebleeds. But it's actually a common one with people who have experiences that they wake up and have severe nosebleeds. And some of the time, I believe, it's perhaps because an implant has been put there. But not all of them, I believe, are actually solid objects. But a lot of them are, I think, as well.
And what do you think the statistics are? I mean, there must be some statistics around the estimated amount of people, let's say in the United States, that have these implants.
That's a hard one, because people say to me, I know it's there, but we haven't got the documentation. Some of them have actually been seen on X-ray, but most people are not prepared to necessarily to go and get them looked at. So it's really hard to estimate, but I certainly know that it's happening.
Hear the seagulls calling you. It's early morning, and the sun is slowly rising. And there's a glow and a peace. Walking along.
Your book, Awakening. Can you tell me a little about the journey and what was going on through your mind when you were writing it?